Hi guys, it's Ray from Ray's Turquoise Turtle. Today we're going to work on some basic, simple alcohol ink coasters. It's just a white, roughly 4x4. I think they're, in reality, they're about 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Tiles, yep, 4 1/4. Just plain white ceramic tiles. I bought a box full from Home Depot for like 16 bucks. The box has 100 in it. I've done them before. I used to get from a like restore store like 10 cents a tile, but I haven't been there in a while to pick any up, so I bought a fresh box at Home Depot last week. And I am going to ink the tops, and then I will do a video later on resining them. And when I'm completely done and the resin has dried, I have a bunch of 4x4 cork that will go on the back to protect your surfaces. You can buy cork pieces on Amazon. I happen to have a roll that I had left that I had picked up at Hobby Lobby like a couple years ago for a different project that I used my paper trimmer to cut down to 4x4 squares that I'll just adhere to the back. In the future, I'll probably buy them on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm wearing my gloves because alcohol inks get messy. I'm working on a cookie sheet from the Dollar Tree to protect the table a little bit, even though this table is destroyed. My plain tiles. I have some makeup wedges, Dollar Tree, Walmart, whatever, that I may use some of. And I have the alcohol ink blending solution from Tim Holtz. I have a bottle of just 91% alcohol. And I have a variety of alcohol inks. I'm going to use all Tim Holtz Ranger inks for this purpose. So, and I have my little squeezy, this is new this year in the Tim Holtz lineup, airball blower. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll show you a couple different techniques, maybe a couple different products, ways of using them. I'm going to start with just, you can use their daubers. I just don't have one in front of me. The Ranger dauber is a wood handle with Velcro and felt pads that you can use the same way. I'm going to use the makeup wedges. But I'm going to go ahead and use them because it is the most basic, simplest technique. I may tell you all the colors I use, I may not. It depends on if I can read the color on the bottle. But for this one, I'm going to use 3 of the colors from the 2020 lineup of color: Boysenberry, Fiesta, and Cobalt. This is the simplest way. This way doesn't require any blending solution, any alcohol, anything. I'm just going to go ahead and dot on some color. It's okay that I dripped on there. It's not going to hurt anything. So you're just going to pounce the colors on and overlap for this technique. Quickest, easiest way. The colors will blend. If you need to add more to your dauber or makeup wedge, go ahead. I'm just going to see how far I can get with a couple of drops of each that I started with. And you can go back over it to soften them up. If you wanted, say, more blue on there, just go back in with your dauber with freshened up blue. And I'm going to go back over it just to mute the color a little bit. And the more fresh ink you put on the dauber, the brighter the color will be. If you keep going over it, it's going to mute it a little bit. But super simple. Now, the edges on these coasters are not finished like the top, but when you resin it, you're not going to want a white edge. So I do go back in and color my edges. I do use the makeup wedges regardless of what technique I've used on the coaster itself. The edges will soak up more color simply because they're not finished. But go around your whole edge. Try not to go over the top too much because it will color the top. And just fill in your edge so you don't have that white. I'm not going to worry about the bottom. The cork will cover most of the bottom. And if there's a little bit of white on the bottom, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I think I might have enough. Nope. So I'm going to go ahead and drop another little bit of color on there. But no matter the technique you use, you're going to want something to cover the sides, whether it be a wedge, a bit of paper towel, a dauber, whatever you want. I don't have any cut for this right now, but you can, if you want to leave some of the coaster white, like say you wanted a white heart in the middle of this, you can take a piece of vinyl and cut the white heart and apply it to the center, and then do this technique across the whole thing and let it dry for a few minutes and peel the mask up. Maybe later I'll do a quick video on that, but for now I'm just doing bare bones basics. So that's what happens if you use a dauber makeup wedge. I'm going to go ahead and put that out of the way and grab a fresh coaster. I'm going to do the same 3 colors, and I'm just going to drop a little bit of alcohol around, and I'm going to go ahead and drip the colors on. And this is a little unlevel. You'll see everything's going to want to run. And I'm going to use the squeezy ball to just blow it across. I need a little more purple down there. You don't need a ton of ink. Inks do dry fairly quick. The adding alcohol will slow that process down a little bit, but not a ton. But you can see how it's already changing fluidity as I blow it, as it dries. And get a little more purple down here. And get a little more pink over here. And I'm going to put another drop of alcohol on each of those, just to keep it moving. When you do this method, your edges are going to cover quite a bit more naturally, but you'll still want to pick up the coaster and check it to make sure you have full coverage. If you feel like you have dark spots, just go ahead and put a drop of ink on and spread it. So that is just 3 colors some alcohol and the blower method. You can see where the edges got mostly covered. So I'm just going to grab a dauber. This one I already had some color on, but that's fine. And I'm just going to dab in on the spots where it doesn't have color. You can be meticulous. You can use the same color that rolled off the edge. You can use just any one of the color. I tend to just grab whichever color seems to be the predominant color. But that is with no blending solution, no mixatives, no nothing, those three colors. So I'm going to set that one to the side. I'm going to continue on with the same colors. This one I'm going to go ahead and use one of the new alloys. I'm going to use Foundry on this one. It looks silvery in the bottle, but it's not exactly silver. These you do have to shake up really well because they are a metallic and a mixative. They do have a BB in them, so give it a good shake. If you use a mixative or an alloy, this is where you absolutely have to use the blending solution. The blending solution has a resin in it, which will set the alloys and the mixatives. If you don't set them, when your project dries, if you wipe a finger across it, you will wipe the metallic off and you'll be able to see it on your hand where it didn't stay. I don't worry about mixing my caps on my inks typically, but I do try to keep the ones from the alloys and the mixatives separately. The rest of them, I don't really care. It's okay to leave them uncapped while you work. The way the tips on the Tim Holtz ones are designed, it holds a bead at the top so it won't dry out while you work. So you won't see me covering and uncovering and panicking about where my tops are. So I'm going to start with a little plain alcohol like I did on the last one. I might swish it around with my hand a little bit this time to get a little bit better coverage. I'm going to go ahead and, pretty similar to what I did last time to start, just maybe in a different order. Now, what I'm going to do different is I'm going to put a couple of drops. You don't need a ton. The metallics will take over rapidly. I'm going to put them kind of where I meet the colors. And I'm going to put a tiny drop of mixative, or blending solution, excuse me, on top of each of those. And then I'm going to start the same blowing process. Now, the alloys are different than the regular mixatives in that the alloys kind of chase themselves to give almost a gold leafing effect, whereas the mixatives mix. I mean, that's exactly what they do. Kind of mix in with the ink and more sit on top, I guess, spread out. I have never been a big fan of the mixatives. I have several, but I prefer not to use them. But the alloys, I really like what they do. I think I want a little bit of the alloy down here in the pink, so I'm going to go ahead and put whoops, that was probably way too much. But I'm going to put the alloy down, give it a drop of the blending solution to set it. I'm going to go ahead and put another drop of the pink in. And then I will show you. Hopefully you can see what I mean. It kind of builds color around, almost like you applied a leafing product to it. And I'm going to go ahead and cover my edges again. if you can see that. And just drop it on. I think because this one is more defined color, I'm going to use the different colors on the edges. Another drop. Again, the edges will soak in a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a drop of that Fiesta Pink to finish it off. So there's that one. That one again used one of the alloys. I'm going to set that aside a minute. I'm going to bring all 4 of these back in a second to show you once I do this last one. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on the alloy because I'm not going to use that right this minute. And I'm going to bring in one more coaster. This one, same colors, but I'm literally just going to do drops of color. It's tempting to just squirt, but try to resist that temptation. I'm going to go ahead with the pink in and around. Then I'm going to go ahead with the purple. And you can tell different sizes. But I'm just going to drop color on a dry tile and let them overlap and move and do their own thing. And you can put them in the middle. Sometimes you might find the colors you picked end up getting really muddy and just ugly. It happens. I will go ahead and show you how to fix an ugly one in a minute. You can just build and layer colors as much as you want, or as little as you want. But just circle dots, it'll do its thing and make beautiful color. I'm gonna take this one. I don't think this one has any mix or alloy on it. And I'm just gonna drop different colors on this one because there's no real defined color on the top, so the edge can just get blotted with all of the colors. Again, it's just to cover because you don't want that white once you resin it. I think I'm going to go ahead and do one more with these colors and then I'll wrap this up. So I think I'm actually going to have five different techniques. All doing the same colors for this video. And a little bit more. Again, the edge soaks in quite a bit just because it's raw tile. And do go up over the lip if you have a little bit of white showing. At Christmas time, the craft stores have all those blank white ceramic Christmas ornaments. They're usually about $1. These are great techniques to use on those too, to give them some color, and then you can seal them and put vinyl over them to personalize them or whatever you're wanting to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more. I'm going to take a fresh dauber again just because I have the colors so muddy on them. And I'm going to just put a line of color. I'm going to try and keep them a tiny bit separate so they don't get muddy on the thing. And you can just do a swipe technique to create a striped coaster. Do a complete edge to edge on your swipes. If you did bright like Fiesta colors, you'll get kind of a syrupy print. But, I mean, how long did that take? 3 seconds? Quite simple. And then just swipe down your edges. This one requires no special techniques, no extra, no nothing. It just gives you a cute, fun fun vibe. I am trying to swipe down, and I don't want to make the edges of this one too dark because the top is a bit muted. So, but I mean, it does not get any easier than that. All right, I'm gonna bring them all back in. Again, that was just 3 colors of ink, and I used the Foundry alloy on just one of this set, and a tiny bit of alcohol and the blending solution. So I'm going to bring them all back in. This one and this one. So 3 colors, an alloy, and 5 very different results. This one was the blown one with just alcohol to thin it down some. This one had no additives. This was just dabbed on with the makeup sponge with the 3 colors on one dabber. This one had some of the blending solution, some alcohol, the alloy, and the blower to move it. This one was just drips. And this one was the swipe technique. Super simple, super quick. I kind of like all of these, so I'm not going to mess them up. I do want to show you how you can handle it if you really, really hate the result. If you hate the result, you can get the top back down to white, but you're not going to be able to get the sides back to white. So do keep that in mind. If you clean one off, you are going to have to use a similar color if your sides are already colored. So I'm going to grab just 2 colors that probably won't really go well together, just for real quick. And I'm not going to do the whole thing. Okay, so I mixed purple and green. I am going to say also that you can leave, say this was 2 pretty colors that looked nice, you can leave it with the white space and epoxy over the edges just the same as the rest of them if you don't want full coverage colors. I do leave some like this. I don't have one handy to show you, but I'm probably going to do some of these again with nicer colors that blend together and leave them at this stage. That said, I try not to get too much over the edge on this. I did get a little bit. I don't have a paper towel. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. So I'm just going to take a paper towel. I'm going to take my regular alcohol, squirt some on, and wipe that right back off. Another little drop. Squeaky clean. Now the edge, this will soak into the raw tile. So again, I'm probably going to do something with purple over the top of this because it has some purple. But you really, really hate it, even if it's been 3 hours and you're still sitting here looking at it and you hate it, this will take it back off. Alcohol will always remove it from a non-porous surface. So that's it. I'm going to log off of here. I'm going to do a few more and I will come back on with a different video at a later time and show you epoxying over them and maybe mixing a light glitter coat into the epoxy for some of them. Some of them I'll just do clear coats just to show you different things you can do with them. And again, once they're epoxied and the epoxy is dry, I will put the cork on the back. You can also use felt squares if you don't want to use cork. Just cut them down to 4 by 4 inches and glue them on with whatever adhesive you prefer. I don't recommend hot glue because it will leave it lumpy. But that's it. If you have any questions or you want to know anything else about inks or you want to see something else with inks, please let me know. Thanks. Bye.